Welcome to video 2 on the Intro to SPSS 26 on AU apps. In this video, we're going to cover how to run descriptive statistics, create a bar chart, and run a one-sample t-test. Now, switching back to our dataset, we left off with entering in the data, making some changes to it, recoding corruption, so higher scores means higher levels of corruption, and creating a categorized variable. What we can also do within the variable is we can change nominal, since there is kind of this high, low, or high, medium, and low pattern. We can change this to ordinal, and that will be fine too. That way it's an accurate representation of the data. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get some descriptive statistics. But first, a little bit about what we're going to be doing next. For most questions you might have about your data, you'll want to look at descriptive statistics, then look at graphs, then run a statistical test. Let's say, for example, you have a data from the 1930s indicating the average country had a corruption level of 5 at that time. We will find the descriptive statistics for our corruption in our modern sample. We will visualize the data using a histogram, and then we will run a statistical test to help determine whether there are differences. We hope that the test reveals that the probability of the estimate given the null hypothesis is true is less than 5%, less than a p-value of 0.050. Now, p-values do not tell you whether the result is based on random chance or reproducibility of the results or the size of the effect. Now, to run descriptive statistics, we're going to find the mean and standard deviation of a continuous variable. We want to go to Analyze, Descriptive, and then click on Descriptives. What we're going to do now is we're going to find our corruption2, a continuous variable, click on the arrow, and that's going to move us over here. And then click on OK. In our output, we have descriptive statistics. We have the number of responses we have for perceived corruption recoded, what the minimum value is, what the maximum is. We have a mean of 5.961 and a standard deviation of 2.16. This is saying our mean, and then what's the variability around that mean for the countries. Note that the group mean in our sample is 5.9, which is higher than the 5.0 from the 1930s. Now we're going to create a bar chart with the counts on the y-axis. And we'll also do this a little bit later too, looking at the different grouping variables in terms of GDPPC. So first we're going to go ahead, and if you go to Graphs, Legacy Dialogues, and then you know what, first let's do a histogram to see what the distribution is of perceived corruption. I'm going to go ahead and put perceived corruption here into our variable view and then click on OK. This is going to show just the distribution, the histogram of our perceived corruption scores, and it doesn't really look too normal. That could potentially be a problem. What we can also do is, let's say we wanted to look at a bar chart with the counts for perceived corruption, or not perceived corruption, the corruption categorized. I'll go back to Graphs, click on Legacy Dialogues, and I'm going to go ahead and then we can also click on histogram there too. And I'm going to go ahead and take this variable. You can also click on Reset, and that clears this out. Otherwise, it retains the last thing you did. Take corruption categorized variable here. Click on OK. This is going to tell us how many countries we have within each of those groups, the 1, the 2, and the 3. So we have about maybe 22 here, maybe about 51 or so here, and maybe like 82 here. Good. What we can also do is, if we go to, and we're going to get the precise frequency tables here, go to Analyze, Descriptives, and click on Frequencies. Then you can scroll down, find a corruption categorized, click on OK, and that will give you a frequency table, let you know what's the number and the percentages for each of those 3 groups, as well as how much you have for missing this. So looking at this, our mean is a little bit higher than the 1930s, but we haven't tested the null yet. The null meaning that there is no difference between that historical value and the one within our sample. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run a one samples t-test. So determine if this mean differs from the set value. We're going to go to Analyze, click on Compare Means, then we're going to do a one samples t-test. Click on that. I'm going to scroll down and find our perceived corruption score here. If you right click, then we can get the variable names. It's actually going to be corruption 2. I'm going to drag that. So you can either drag it or use the arrow. And now the test value, I need to change this from 0 to the 1930s, which was 5, and click on OK. This gives us our one sample statistic, our mean standard deviation, which we had before. And now we have our one sample t-test. We're comparing this against the test value of 5. So we have our t, we have our df, degrees of freedom associated with the t-value, and our statistical significance. If the statistical significance is less than 0.050, we're rejecting the null hypothesis. So given the probability is less than 0.001, that the data is so far above the 1930s value of 5, given the null hypothesis is true, there's a low probability of this. This is our mean difference, as well as we can't fit a 0 between our upper and lower bounds, so a 95% constant interval of the difference. Under an infinite number of trials and samplings, 95% of the time we'd expect to see that estimate between here. We don't actually run the infinite number of times, but it's a good way to kind of figure out the potentials within this. So given this, we're going to reject the null hypothesis and report this as t parentheses, the degrees of freedom end parentheses equals, then the t-value up to 2 decimal points, comma, p is less than 0.001. And that's telling us that there is a statistically significant difference between the mean of the modern sample and the mean of the historical data. Great, so what we're going to do now is we're going to end this video, and in the next video we'll talk about independent samples t-tests and ANOVAs.